Good morning, everybody. So as mentioned, I'm from Naspers Group, and I would like to share with you a couple of learnings that we had over the last couple of years, particularly in emerging markets, about how to win in mobile. Particularly with this audience, I think maybe it's a little bit of an open door to say that technology is really changing the world at the moment, and particularly the way we think about commerce. It's a little bit of an open door indeed. At the same time, I hope that today I can share some insights, learnings with you about what might happen in the future in places like Turkey as well. So Naspers Group, for the people that don't know, we are basically an investor and a builder of what we call the world's digital future, the world's digital economy. These are examples of our portfolio companies, ranging from platforms in classifieds, OLX, e-tailing companies, online payments companies, online video, but a long range of business models are there as well. One of our biggest stakes is actually Tencent, more about that later. And in Turkey, we participate with 3 companies at the moment. Marcafoni, which I guess all of you know, PayU, but there's a third one, and some will know, some won't. Maybe there's a little bit of a revelation later on in my presentation. As you can see on this picture, we don't have any holdings in Western Europe or in the US. We really focus on high growth markets, so what used to be in the past more emerging markets. And what special characteristics of these markets is really the importance of mobile. If you think about it, in the next 5 years, the next a billion people are coming online, and they're all on mobile. I would please ask you to let this sink in a little bit, because these are not people like you who actually are used to having a desktop connection as well, and then they added mobile internet. These are people for which their mobile phone is really the first time they have access to, when it comes to e-commerce, a global inventory of products at the lowest possible price delivered to their doorstep the next day. Before that, they didn't have that. And pretty much all of those people, of the next billion online users, are in emerging markets, which is a big opportunity, we think. It's also a little bit of a scary world. I'm showing you some data that maybe you've previously heard about, but I think the implications of this data are really important. Sorry, I have a tendency to make really complex charts, but let me talk you through this one by one. So on your left side, you see that, as many of you will know, pretty much all the growth that you see online is coming from mobile apps at the moment. Desktop browser traffic is fairly stable at the moment. The real growth is in mobile apps, particularly in e-commerce. And the mobile app world is actually a really interesting world because it's hyper competitive, particularly in e-commerce. That's what we show in the middle chart, where on desktop, when people shop, they tend to shop around more, right? It's easy to change on your desktop from one e-commerce site to another, and basically people tend to check 3 or 4 or 5 different websites before they make a purchase. So you see actually the time spent across different websites on the desktop browser is actually fairly fragmented. The mobile app world is completely different. Maybe you can think about it yourself, the way you would shop, but most people don't actually have more than 1 or 2 shopping apps on their phone. People don't browse between mobile apps. I don't know if you recognized it, but that is very clearly shown on the chart as well, that it's really the number 1 or the number 2 site that gets a disproportionate amount of the traffic. And frankly, in mobile apps, number 3, 4, 5 in the rankings, they don't matter anymore. So it's really important that in the mobile age, you become the number 1 in your category. And even if you are number 1, and that's the data we show on the third chart all the way on the right, even if you are the number 1, it's a little bit of a scary world. because you get much more easily disrupted on mobile than on desktop. What we show you here on the chart is really the top 20 e-commerce sites in the US in 2015, and approximately 25 of them were new. Whereas on apps, you actually see that roughly 70% of the e-commerce apps every year changes. As soon as a new app comes out, which makes it a little bit easier to do your delivery or to do your ordering, and a leading consumer group figures that out, the whole consumer group changes to that new app. So it's all about leadership, but leadership is a little bit fickle. A little bit of a scary world. So we try to, as Naspers, in every market that we play in, and here you see a couple of our key focus markets. In every market where we play, we really try to focus a lot on becoming the absolute number one in the particular category that we play in, being it classifieds, e-commerce, fashion. We really try to have the number one app. Usually it works, sometimes it doesn't, but we really try damn hard, because that's the only place that matters. And I wanted to share with you a couple of techniques or a couple of things that we see in emerging markets that allow us to be that number one. I think it's an important notion here as well to, one of the things that we see in figuring out what to do in mobile is, of course, we look at what's happening in the US. If you bring it down to its essence, I think that is where Naspers historically became big, is figure out what works in the US and take it to emerging markets as soon as possible. More and more, however, we see that emerging markets are taking the lead. Our partners in Tencent, for instance, in China, are really taking e-commerce to the next level in a way that you don't see this in the US at all, yet. But we think this is the future of e-commerce. For the people that don't know, Tencent is one of our holding companies. It's the second largest internet company in China, and one of the big companies they have, or products that they have, is WeChat. For the people that don't know, WeChat is the Chinese version of WhatsApp. They have 600 million users, and what they enabled very recently is they allowed the users to set up a store on WeChat, on the Chinese version of WhatsApp, and it's really easy. Within a minute, you set up a store, you make a picture of your product, fill in the details, and then sell it to your social network. And this is a really powerful thing, particularly in China. There's this, one of my colleagues from Tencent showed me the example of a chicken farmer, for instance. You may all know that food safety is a really big issue in China. And this chicken farmer, in order to prove that his products are real, every morning when he fed the chickens, he made a picture and he posted that on WeChat. And this is how he reinforced the authenticity of the product. This may sound to you like it's an interesting feature, an interesting customer experience, but I can tell you that in China, this is huge. And it's not happening on WhatsApp at all yet. Facebook doesn't do this yet. But in China, a couple of numbers. So this is really revolutionizing e-commerce. The amount of volume sold over WeChat at the moment is double the volume of what we see on JD.com, which is the Amazon of China. The conversion rates here are 3 times what we see on JD.com. So we really think this is something big, and I would urge you to also think about, okay, what could this mean here in Turkey, right? What if what if WhatsApp, and I think this is one of the biggest applications here in Turkey as well. What if WhatsApp would have an e-commerce volume that's 3 times the size of Hepsiburada? Think about that. That's going to be a biggie. Another application from emerging markets where I think emerging markets are really taking the lead is from our Indian Amazon.com called Flipkart. It's a little bit funny to say Indian Amazon.com because we're actually in a tough battle with Amazon in India, but we're still ahead. And one of the things that Flipkart did earlier this year was really focus purely on mobile, which is really a bold move. What they saw that in India in particular, desktop is important, obviously, but 75% of all the e-commerce traffic in India is actually going over mobile. So they decided to go full on mobile. Basically, they call it app only. Think about that for your company maybe, right? So you decide to shut down desktop and you decide to fully focus on your mobile app. It's a very bold move. So far, I think the jury is still out, but it's really working out very nicely. You can see that on the mobile app, we have doubled the market share of Amazon, and or more than that, double what we have on the browser, and it's growing very nicely. So we are extremely enthusiastic about the mobile apps, which led us to make an investment actually in another company called Letgo. We recently, a couple of months ago, invested about $100 million in this, which I think is one of the largest Series A ever. And one of the reasons why we made that bold move is because we really believe in this model. It's basically a mobile-only classifieds app. And why do we think this is so powerful? Let me show you why and how easy it is. I hope the sound works. Haha, it didn't.
I can't. It's my lucky ball.
You don't even bowl anymore. I'll tell you what. Let's sell it on Letgo. We just have to take a picture and post it.
Hey, I saw your post. I'll take it.
Sold.
Yeah.
It's time to snap, post, chat, and sell. It's time to let go.
So it's really easy. You take out your iPhone, press the red button. I want to sell that bottle of water. I make a picture. I post it online. Say I want $180 for that little piece of water. I chat with the person that I would like to buy it from, and I sell it. Easy as that. Funny thing is, with this new product, we're really tapping into a customer segment that historically, it's really young people that are really attracted by this product. People that could not be bothered to go to Craigslist in the US or Sahibinden in Turkey and fill out the web form and upload your pictures. It's a little bit of a hassle. It's really an easy product. We launched it. Right now, it's in the US, the 4th largest shopping app and one of the fastest growing. You see it's one of the apps on fire, number 5. And a big revelation, hopefully, to some of you as well. At the moment, it's the #1 shopping app in Turkey as well. This is a biggie. And we really believe in this model and hope we'll have great results. Turkey for us, as many of you know, I spend a lot of time here. It's an important market. We really would like to, we believe in the potential. It's big, a great set of entrepreneurs. And we're always looking to expand our local roster of entrepreneurs. So if you have a category-winning application, particularly mobile first, then I'm really keen to connect with you over the next couple of days. Thank you very much, and hope to speak soon.